I got 99 problems, but my reed ain't one. Today, I wanted to talk about Legere synthetic reeds. Let's go. Before we get this video started, what reed are you playing on? Drop your answer in the comments. I was in LA a couple weeks ago checking out the NAMM show, and NAMM stands for the National Association of Music Merchants. It's basically the place where anyone who makes anything for musicians or musical instruments goes to display their products. And for the record, that's not the correct way to use a saxophone stand. People are always asking me, what's my setup? And today, I wanted to talk about one of the most important pieces of equipment I use, my reeds. What's going on, y'all? My name is Gregory Agid, and today, I wanted to talk about every clarinet player's favorite subject, reeds. As woodwind players, we have this love-hate relationship with reeds. Y'all, there is nothing better than playing the perfect reed. You put that thing on there and everything you play sounds perfect, it feels great, and in that moment in time, you are the world's greatest musician. But then at the other end of that spectrum, if you have a bad reed, everything you play sounds horrible, it feels horrible, it leaves you feeling self-conscious about everything you've just played. As a musician, it's so frustrating to be at the mercy of a good or bad reed. If you've ever heard me play and said to yourself, hey, I like the way this cat sounds, I wonder what he's playing on. Y'all, I got a secret for you. I am playing on Legere European cut synthetic reeds, and this particular reed is a size 4. And I never thought I would say this in a million years because I consider myself to be a purist on some level, but I never thought in a million years I would be playing on synthetic reeds and loving it. I'm just a clarinet player, so I'm not going to pretend like I can explain all the intricacies of what makes Legere great. So instead, we're going to flash back a couple weeks to when I was at the NAMM conference, and I'm going to let Sean King tell you more about Legere Reeds. Sean, you got it.
Hey everyone, I'm Sean King from Legere Reeds here. We're here at the NAMM show in 2025 in Los Angeles, California. We're here talking about Legere Reeds. So for those who don't know, Legere Reeds are a synthetic reed made of an oriented polypropylene plastic. And all that means is that it's a reed that has the same characteristics of damp cane, ready to play when you are. And that means less time spent messing around with your reeds and more time spent practicing, playing, performing, everything you really want to do and none of the stuff that you don't want to do. So the Legere reed comes in saxophones, clarinets, bassoon, oboe, and a bunch of different cuts for each one for various different styles. You can play jazz, you can play classical, you can play marching band, you can do whatever you want to do on a cane reed, on a Legere reed. The American, French, and signature cuts are all different cuts for saxophone. The American cut is a brilliant reed, really meant for jazz and pop and rock. It's bright, it's a little bit buzzy, it's really brilliant, and it's got a great spread. The French cut is the opposite. It's a dark reed, it's got a great strong core to it with a lot of warmth. And the idea behind that is that it has extra depth to it for a really warm, responsive, resistant kind of reed that is just great for when you want a little bit of extra darkness in your sound. The signature is right in between the two reeds, and it's got the best of both worlds. Perfect for everything that you might want to do. On the clarinets, there is the European cut, the French cut, and the signature. The European cut is a bit of a brilliant reed with a great spread and a great projection. The French reed is dark, resistant, velvety, a great section reed as well. And the signature, again, sits right in between those two. It does everything pretty well. The European cut is by far one of our top-selling products and played by people all over the world. On saxophone, the French cut is doing really, really well for classical players, and the American cut for a lot of jazz, rock, R&B, gospel, a lot of other stuff like that.
Thanks, Sean. I appreciate you sharing that with us. So I want to share the story of how I began playing Legere reeds. Many years ago, I had a gig in Johannesburg, South Africa. And for those of you who know me, y'all know that I'm from New Orleans, and New Orleans is like 5 feet under sea level. Johannesburg is 5,000 feet above sea level. You clarinet players out there, you know that cane reeds are impacted by elevation. I didn't know that. And when I got to Johannesburg, I couldn't make a sound on any of my reeds. All of my reeds were too hard. The elevation had made the reed so resistant that I couldn't make a sound on it. So I was like mortified. I was so afraid that I wasn't going to be able to play the gig. I went to the grocery store down the street, and of course, they didn't have any fine sandpaper. So I was left improvising with tools that were in no way meant to work on reeds. That moment was kind of a wake-up call for me, and I realized that if I was going to be a touring musician, I would need to have some type of solution for my reed problem. Fast forward to 2017 or so, I was in LA for the NAMM Convention, and I got a chance to try Legere Reeds. I never thought in a million years I would like synthetic reeds. Prior to that point, I had only played cane, and a couple of the plastic reeds that I played were absolutely horrible. I had been indoctrinated with this idea that you could only have a good sound with cane reeds. And after trying the Legere European cut, my mind was blown. I couldn't believe it. So basically from that point, I have been playing Legere Reeds. And in case you're wondering, I personally play on the Legere European cut reed, and I am playing on a size 4. The cool thing about Legere is that they also have another style of reed called the French cut, which is equally impressive. It's just not the right reed for me. Generally speaking, I would say that the French cut has a darker sound and is more of a classical vibe. The European cut does get a very dark sound, but I think it's a little bit more free-blowing, it projects, and it just kind of fits the way I like to play a little better than the French cut. I would recommend starting with the European cut, and if you want something a little bit darker, I would try the French cut. And if you're wondering what reed I play on tenor sax, I play on the Legere Signature, and I'm playing on a size 2.75. What are the benefits of playing on Legere? Or better yet, why do I like playing on Legere reeds? First and foremost, Legere reeds are consistent. And consistency is something that is very important to me. When I find a reed that I like, I know that every time I put that reed on my mouthpiece, it is going to sound and feel pretty much exactly the same every time I play it. You don't have to worry about the reed having a good day or a bad day. One of the cool things about Legere reeds is that the reeds come in quarter strength sizes. You can get a 3, a 3.25, a 3.5, a 3.75, and that will allow you to find the perfect size reed for your setup. Now, I want to point out it's really important that you have the proper size reed for your setup, because even if you're just a quarter strength off, that could be the difference between you loving the reed and you not liking the reed at all. So it's really important that you experiment with a couple different sizes to find the perfect reed for your setup. Another great thing about Legere reeds is that these reeds are weatherproof, and the reeds are not going to be impacted by the temperature, the humidity, or the elevation of wherever you are. And that's especially important to a touring musician such as myself, because I never know where I'm going to be playing and what the temperature is going to be like, what the humidity is, and what the general climate is. So I know everywhere I go, my reed is going to respond the way I like it. Another benefit of these reeds is that they are long lasting. Y'all, I have heard some stories of people playing on the same reed for years, and that's a little crazy. So I'm not saying that you're going to get years of use from each reed, because ultimately the life of the reed is going to depend on how much you play. Generally speaking, I would say you're going to get about 6 months of use per reed, maybe a little bit more, maybe a little bit less, depending on how much you play it. What I like to do is circulate 5 reeds over the course of 6 months. And so I actually have this little reed case right here. Let's see if you can see that. And you can see here that I have 5 reeds. And what I do is I play these 5 reeds over the course of 6 months, and I play 1 reed a day. And then after 6 months, I will change my reeds out. After about 6 months, you can still play the reeds. They just get a little funky. It's just going to start feeling a little weird. It might be more resistant. It might be less resistant. It's just going to start feeling and sounding a little different than you're used to. I would assume that I probably play clarinet a little bit more than the average person. I probably play a reed every day for about 2 or 3 hours. And I find that 5 reeds will last me about 6 months. If you're a doubler, these reeds are perfect for you. I often find myself on gigs where I'm playing both tenor sax and clarinet, and sometimes I might be playing my tenor for 30, 45 minutes on the gig and then have to make a quick switch over to clarinet. I might have to pick up my clarinet and play a solo or play something really soft and sensitive, and I need to know that my reed is ready to go. And the cool thing about these reeds is that they don't need to be warmed up and they don't warp. So no matter how long they've been sitting on the instrument, they're always going to be ready to go. I don't know if you've ever had an experience where your reed's been sitting on the mouthpiece for a while and all of a sudden, the reed kind of gets this jagged saw-like looking thing. Well, you don't need to worry about that with Legere Reeds. And that's why these are especially great for doublers. I spoke a lot about the positive sides of Legere and the things that I like about the reeds, but in an effort to be transparent, I also wanted to share some things that you should be aware of if you're considering trying Legere. First off, I think it's important that you go into the experience of playing Legere reeds understanding that these are not cane. If you go into trying a synthetic reed with the expectation that it's going to be just like cane, you're going to be disappointed. Cane is cane, and these Legere synthetic reeds are something completely different. So be open to having a different experience. There is an adjustment period getting used to the synthetic material. It feels different on your lip. Cane has a certain feel, cane has a certain sound, and Legere has a different feel and a different sound. It's not to say that one is better or worse, they're just different. While these reeds are extremely consistent in the sense that you could play the same reed every day and it's gonna feel pretty much exactly the same, there is a little variation reed to reed. So if I have 5 number 4 reeds, there is going to be a very slight difference in the strength of each reed. Some reeds are just a tiny bit harder and some reeds are just a tiny bit softer. Something that I found very useful is to adjust where the reed sits on the tip of the mouthpiece. If you find that a reed is a little soft, you can actually push the reed up on the tip of the mouthpiece and that will add a little resistance. And if the reed is a little stiff, you can actually pull the reed down just a little bit on the tip of the mouthpiece, and that will give you a little bit less resistance. And I just want to say that I'm extremely picky about my reeds, and I would assume that the average musician is probably not as crazy about reeds as I am. Are they 100% perfect? No. So don't go into the experience telling yourself that these reeds are going to fix all of your problems. They're not going to fix all of your problems, but they're going to fix a lot of them. Overall, I've had a great experience playing on Legere reeds, and I would highly recommend them to anyone interested. These reeds are a great option, and they're a wonderful alternative to cane reeds. These are the reeds that I choose to play on, and I would highly recommend you giving them the shot if you're interested. If you're interested in purchasing a reed, use the link in my description, and it'll take you to my Amazon affiliate page. And if you purchase the reed using that link, I will get a small commission, and I would greatly appreciate that. Thank you. All right, y'all, thank you so much for watching this video. I'm gonna leave you with a couple clips of me playing on Legere reeds, and that'll give you a chance to hear what they sound like in action. I appreciate y'all so much. Thank you for your support, and I'll catch you all next time. Peace.